Alright, so we have the HTML done for our FAQ accordion slider. So now we're going to move on to the CSS and make it look good. Alright, and this is also going to be a responsive application. You can see the finished application. If we shrink the browser, still looks pretty good. Alright, so let's go to style.css and we'll start out zeroing everything out on the page. Okay, so we'll set margin to 0 and padding to 0. Alright, so for the body, we're going to use font family. I'm going to use Tahoma. Haven't used that in a while. Alright, and the color of the text is going to be a dark gray. I'm going to make the font size a little bigger than usual. We're going to do 16 pixels, and the background of the body is going to be a really light gray. So that's F9 3 times. And then we'll give it a line height of 1.6 EM. Okay, so that's good for the body. Let's check it out. Alright, so everything's zeroed out. Okay, so some global styles. I want to set the list item and the unordered list to have a list style of none. Okay, we don't want any bullet points. Okay, the container. Like I said, it's going to be responsive, so we're going to set the width to a percentage. I'm going to set it to 60%, and we want it pushed to the middle, so let's do 30 on the top and bottom and auto on the sides. And let's also make the overflow auto. Okay, so that should move everything into the middle. Okay. Next, we'll do the H1 tag. Okay, so for H1, I'm going to align it to the center. Okay, and also give it a margin bottom of 20 pixels. And then the title, we'll have a height of 40 pixels, and we'll give it a background of that greenish color. Okay, which is, where is it? It's 6BB A70 or A70. The color of the text will be white, and we want to align that to the center as well. And let's give it a padding top of 13 pixels. Alright, so that looks good. Next, we'll do the actual list items. Alright, so first we'll do all the lists. I believe we have a UL with the class of FAQ. Okay, so let's say FAQ li. Okay, so this will apply to the questions and answers, and I just want to add a padding of 20 pixels. Alright, so next we'll do the questions. So we have .faq li.q. Alright, and we're going to make the background gray. The font weight will be bold. I'm going to make the font size a little bigger. I'm going to do 120%. And let's set a border bottom of 1 pixel. We'll make that another shade of gray and solid. Okay, and then finally we want the cursor to be a pointer when we hover over it. Okay, so that's the question. Alright, so that looks good. Now we want to add a background to the answer. So let's say FAQ li.a, and we're going to give it a background of DDD. And we want to initially, we're going to display none. Let me just see what it looks like. Alright, so that's good. Now, what we want to do is hide the answers initially, and we're going to do that with CSS. We could do it with jQuery or CSS. Doesn't really matter. So we're going to set this to display none. Okay, so now that they should all be hidden. Okay, good. And I want this to be responsive, and it's pretty much responsive by nature, but you can see if we go down like this, there's way too much space on each side. So we're just going to do a media query. So media, all right, and for the parameter we're going to say max width, and that's going to be 800 pixels. Okay, so basically when it's 800 pixels or less, we're going to go ahead and take the container div, and we're going to set the width to 90% as opposed to 60%. Okay, so now if we reload, you can see now there's less room on the sides. When we get to 800 pixels, it goes back, okay, to being thinner. So that's all we really need to do to make it responsive. And that's it. That's it for the CSS. Very simple. In the next video, we'll go ahead and add the logic, the JavaScript, and jQuery.